next guest is Nino Bourikas. Nino, thanks for doing this. Great to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Nino, tell us about your story in pursuing a career in the sport industry and where you're today.
Sure. I guess it dates back to high school, choosing to go to Brock University for sport management. Quite frankly, for me, I'm just not a person of the cold. So it was pretty much Brock or Laurentian. And I went with Brock, fell in love with the program while I was there, did some internships, and I worked in recreation services at Brock. After that, graduating, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I went back to school and I went and did my master's down at the Florida State University, which was fantastic. Great experience. Got to work in the athletics department down there as part of an internship program as well. Once I finished, I was very lucky enough to be offered a position with the Niagara Ice Dogs, where I stayed for 7 years, actually 7 and change. And that was fantastic. It was a great experience, really, really getting my feet wet in the sports industry and learning, more responsibility and management tactics and stuff like that. And eventually, just recently, back in October of last year, I started at Sportsnet as our account manager for integrated sports. I deal with all of our on-site sponsorships, so for our events. So yeah, that's kind of the story in a short form for sure.
Nice. Was there any similarities or differences between, I guess, the content that you learned between Canada and the United States?
Definitely. You can definitely go with both ways there. Similarities for sure. I think the program at Brock definitely helps prepare me for what was coming at Florida State. A lot of my master's courses, which were class-based, I didn't write a thesis, but it was course-based and internship-based. Anyways, those courses, a lot of the content was, not just repeat, but building on a lot of, terminology and theories and research that we had already done in undergrad. So definitely similar. And where it was different is that I found a lot of things, whereas we relate things to sports here in Canada, whether that's, hockey or the Toronto Raptors and stuff like that, down there, a lot of the examples that you're learning about are American things. So, we did a ton of case studies and stuff like that on collegiate sports down there. And we did some things on high school football and high school basketball, as well as fundraising, which was big, but fundraising in the sense of, finding donors for athletic programs, stuff that doesn't necessarily happen as much up in Canada. So I'd say definitely similarities, definitely differences. The culture was completely different on campus as well. It's Florida State being a big sports school. You kind of you can't help but really get sucked into becoming a Seminoles fan pretty much right after you step foot on campus. All the colors are there, the logos are there. It's the front page of the paper during football season, and it was just a great experience. Definitely different, but certainly some similarities as well with Brock.
How was the transition process? Like when you first got there, do you kind of have like a eye opener?
Definitely. So it was probably a little scary, to be honest with you. Moving down there, literally, I didn't know anybody. I'd found my apartment off of the internet. It's not like I got to view it ahead of time or anything like that. It was a ton of, visa information that had to be done ahead of time. I had to get an immunization that had to be done ahead of time, just with things that I guess is standard down in Florida that wasn't necessarily standard up here in Canada. And then moving down there, it's setting up a phone plan, setting up a new bank account, setting up my heating bills through the city of Tallahassee, like all these little things, they really did add up. Not a ton of help transition wise. I was lucky enough to have my parents to really give me a hand with a lot of stuff. But once you get there on campus and everything, they did have quite a few orientation programs, which was fantastic. And the campus was probably 3-4 times the size of Brock's. So learning everything on a map, and back then they had a really great app for cell phones to be able to find out where you wanted to go and everything like that. So the transition was, I thought it was quite well done once we actually started dealing with everything school-wise. And the program itself, the sport management program, really did set you up for success to try to make sure that you were as comfortable as possible. The graduate school, same thing. And me technically being an international student, same thing. So I did have, there's the graduate school, there was the program itself, but there was also the international department. All three were great resources to rely on to be able to transition into the new, I guess, educational environment, you can call it.
Always really cool to hear stories about students going internationally, because you really don't know what to expect until you actually get there.
For sure. And you know what? It's hard to really consider anywhere in the States as international. You know what I mean? Because we have, I guess before COVID hit and everything, we had such a great open relationship, especially with the border between Canada and the United States. But yeah, you're right. Technically, it definitely is international, and they treated us that way and made sure that we were as comfortable as possible. And it was just a great experience all around. You're meeting people, classmates from all over the States and again all over the world too. We had some international students from Canada, from China, and then in the States, I had friends from North Carolina, some from Florida. I had some from Texas, Wisconsin, Minnesota. So, it was really cool to kind of like mix all those cultures together, and everyone has a different way of thinking and a different way of having fun too. So it was just a great experience all around for sure.
That's awesome. So, as you mentioned, you spent around 7 years with Niagara Ice Dog, an OHL hockey team. Can you tell us about your time with the Ice Dogs and the importance of community within sports?
For sure. So my role with the Ice Dogs was essentially, by the end of it, I was director of community marketing and group sales. And, I played a little bit of a role in a lot of different happenings, and I guess you could call it departments within the Ice Dogs. Obviously, the community marketing aspect was probably my favorite stuff that we were doing, whether that was finding partnerships with schools and bringing our players out to all the elementary schools and giving the kids the pep talks on, eating well and, anti-bullying and, all those kind of things that really resonate with kids. That was a ton of fun. And of course, all of our community partnerships with, places like the Canadian Mental Health Association and Special Olympics, but also our corporate partnerships with places like the Real Canadian Superstore, who was just a really great league partner, which helped make things so much easier. Just a ton of fun working with the Ice Dogs. A lot of work, starting in a smaller organization like that, you really do learn a lot. You get thrust into a lot of roles and responsibilities that allow you to grow as a professional and prepare yourself with what's coming next. And as for the importance of community, it's like twofold in my opinion. There's obviously, there's the responsibility, the corporate responsibility to have goodwill and reach out and donate time, donate money to certain causes, to make sure that you're supporting the community that really helps support you and helps support your organizational goals. But obviously there's a marketing side to it as well. So as much as you love giving back and everything, there is a little bit of strategy involved to make sure that people know about it, and whether that's your social media strategy or just other marketing tools that you use to get the word out there that the Ice Dogs are doing so and so. It's only going to help to lead to a better brand perception.
Off here, we talked about how you're with the organization for 7 years, which ultimately was the time that the Burks bought the Niagara Ice Dogs and turned the organization around, and you saw kind of every step that they did to make Niagara Ice Dogs a household name in the OHL. So what was that experience like, just going through the years?
Yeah, I totally understand. It was fun seeing the development of the organization, and as kind of cheesy as it sounds, like I started as an intern in 2011, I want to say, 2010, when I was in my fourth year of university at Brock. I was a full-time intern. So I think the team was only in their second year, third year, fourth year, something like that of existence. And, we were playing at the old arena, at the Jack Aycliffe Arena back then. And so, game nights were certainly a different environment. And when I moved back from Florida, again, we had just had the process of getting everything approved for the new arena. So that was exciting, but we're still wrapping up old ties at the old place. And once the team was able to move into that new arena, you really saw what it did for the popularity. Instantly, you had people from all over the Niagara region not only wanting to support the team, but wanting to check out the new facility. You had downtown St. Catharines really turn from, what it was 10, 11 years ago, with a lot of closed businesses and skinny one-way streets and stuff like that, to what it is now, which is just thriving with bars and restaurants and shopping and businesses that want to be downtown in comparison to what it was before. So, seeing that expansion, I guess, of the city of St. Catharines was great. But for the team, again, just I guess witnessing the popularity and how much it really became Niagara's team rather than just St. Catharines' team. That was a ton of fun to see. And having all the kids go on, and so many of them have, ended up having professional careers and everything. That was obviously so great to see. And, it's anytime, last season we got to see, ex-Ice Dogs Vince raise the Stanley Cup. And that was pretty cool. So, nothing but positivity, seeing how the squad, how the organization has grown, and hopefully they continue and stay in Niagara for a long time.
And Meridian's one of the great facilities that I've ever seen. I guess experiencing playing hockey previously for a long time, the facility of Meridian Centre is quite incredible.
Absolutely. I don't think anything new has been built since then, unless I'm missing something. But it either is still now or at one point in time was the newest facility in the OHL. I think it still is the newest, but it's state of the art. You'll go to some other arenas that are a little bit older but have a little bit more history, and you just notice the difference right away just looking at the video board itself. How clear it is at the Meridian Centre, how great the audio is, how much more comfortable the seats are, how many different concessions options they have at the Meridian Centre compared to some of the older rinks in the league. It's a great place to play. I think it also helps as a recruiting tool for the Ice Dogs to be able to, get some of those players that, might be considering other options through the USHL and into the NCAA and stuff like that. I think having that facility really goes a long way. The inside the Ice Dogs part of it, there's a great gym. They have an awesome sauna. Great trainers that work with them and everything. So, all these things all came together with the new facility. And again, I think it's going to help the team to remain there in Niagara for a long time and be quite successful. So,
I agree more. So now, as you mentioned, you were Sportsnet. What's your roles and responsibilities?
Sure. So my role is to essentially manage our sponsorships after they are sold. So my specific portfolio consists of our on-site events. So Rogers Hometown Hockey, Scotiabank's Hockey Day in Canada, and the NHL Gaming World Championships. Now, the Gaming World Championships were a little bit different this year. We weren't able to do anything on site. Normally, they get filmed over at the CBC building. But this year, everything had to be digital due to the COVID situation, restrictions and everything. So I was able to take a little bit of a role in the media and broadcasting sponsorships within that, which was a ton of fun and a great learning experience. But typically day to day is, especially with the hometown tour, it's weekly calls with our sponsors, such as Sobeys, Hyundai, Rogers, of course. And it's just making sure that they're comfortable with everything, maintaining those great relationships. If they want anything changed to their on-site look or feel, we'll get that done for them. We have an agency that essentially runs hometown hockey for us. They're SDI, so it's constantly staying in touch with SDI to make sure that, we're all on the same page, stuff like that. And in regards to Hockey Day in Canada, that's kind of Scotiabank Super Bowl. So, it was a week-long event up in Yellowknife this past February, and it was just a great time. And it's making sure that all the events are lined up and ready to go, and make sure that the client, being Scotiabank, is super happy with everything. So, staying with them side by side throughout the whole week, and essentially, should they need anything changed or anything like that, it's going along with it and doing everything that you can to help them be as comfortable and satisfied as possible.
I try to avoid the COVID topic as much as possible, Nino, because because everybody talks about it. But if you talk about it a little bit, I don't think people mind. How has the transition kind of been for you with doing these events in person and now moving digitally?
Sure. So, the first thing that was pretty obvious, we were very lucky, I think, looking back at it, to be able to get Hockey Day in Canada all done, with it being in early February, because it was really only about a month later that everything kind of went to hell. So, unfortunately with hometown hockey, we did have to postpone 3 stops, North Vancouver, Campbell River, and Edmonton. And, with that came a lot of, discussions with sponsors, discussions with those cities, discussions with the agency, everything like that, just to make sure that everyone understood what was going on and why things were happening. And then it came into sponsors and, how are we going to satisfy their needs from, their dollars that were spent essentially. So, moving into starting to work from home, it was a challenge, I'd say. I don't think anyone expected to be working from home this long. But it is what it is. And Rogers as a company is really looking out for us as employees and making sure that we're as comfortable as possible, whether that's, having everything you need at home to be able to work comfortably and effectively from a software standpoint, to as much as having a laptop riser or a chair. And I, they've done a great job at not rushing anybody back, but it's been a lot of Zoom calls. It's a lot of staying in over communicating is the way that our boss likes to put it. And just making sure that everyone's always on the same page and as up to date as possible. So that's both internally with all of our coworkers and everything, but also with our clients and out there as well, making sure that they're as up to date as we are on any information that we're able to share.
Yeah, it's interesting, that you say working virtually, because as humans, like we need human contact. Term now is like you're zoomed out because of all this virtual, I guess, communication and whatnot. But how do you still feel motivated even though it's still virtually for this long?
I think I'm in a lucky position in the sense that I genuinely enjoy the stuff I get to work on. I know not everyone loves their job out there, and I think I'm truly one of the lucky ones to be able to sit and say, anytime I log onto my computer, I'm doing something that I find interesting, or I'm reading up on something that is genuinely interesting to me in the sports business world that I can start to apply to the things that I do. I think that helps big time. Obviously, I agree with you in the sense of, human interaction is I think a big thing. And, all these Microsoft team calls and everything, they can only go a certain, you can only really have that interaction to a certain extent, but I think it's a lot on your, it's personal. You know what I mean? It's all about how you're able to handle those things on a personal level. So whether that's going outside and just going for a walk around town, or, just doing something with your friends as long as they're in your bubble, and seeing your family if they're in your bubble and stuff like that. I think that it goes a long way to just kind of help keeping you right up here. And when you're right up here, you can certainly translate that into an effective work relationship with everyone you have to work with, whether it's, again, clients or coworkers, even if you can't see them face to face.
That definitely makes sense. Let's move on to this. What is your philosophy in developing timelines within your role?
For sure. So timelines are super important for us. I'll say this: I just got finished working on the Gaming World Championships broadcast that aired on Friday, like this past Friday, and then throughout the weekend as well. But if you don't establish those timelines, you really start to worry about getting things done properly and on time. So to me, organization is one of the most important things in my job. We had to have certain sponsor elements in by a certain time so that they get to air properly and billboards get built properly and stuff like that. So I think staying organized is one of the most important things that you can do. And I even look at it from a hometown hockey perspective. If I'm not keeping track, like I keep a list at my desk of every single stop, and then I cross them off as they happen, right? And it's just to be able to even speak to it as quickly as possible when a client says, "Oh, where are we first week of January?" It's like, "Oh, we're in Whitby." You know what I mean? Like little things like that, you're able to just say really quickly, and then I find that helps have people to have a good perception of you, and to make sure that they know that you're on the ball and on the job. So timelines, organization, I think it's pretty much right up there with anything that you could ask for when it comes to the importance in my role.
It seems like you juggle like a lot of things on the go as well. So like with different deals or sponsorships or whatnot. So you seem very busy.
and you know what? It's not just it's not looking forward all the time. Like a lot of times, yeah, that's the idea, is planning for ahead, but there's also troubleshooting that happens. There's always going to be an issue, and if there isn't an issue, then it just means you're lucky. So when things come up, it's being able to handle those effectively and quickly and efficiently. And I think by staying organized, that certainly allows you to do so.
What are your thoughts, on what's going on in sport right now with NBA and NHL and whatnot?
Sure. I look at the NBA and the NHL right now, and it's fantastic what they're doing. Obviously, with the bubble, things could not have gone any better. And it's clearly showing a path for success on how to do these things. Now, with that being said, I don't want to sit here and tell you what the NFL is doing is incorrect or what the MLB is doing is incorrect, but I do think that there's a little bit more of a risk in the way that they are planning their seasons and running their season. With that being said, I think everyone's excited for the return of football and stuff like that, and with how the NHL and NBA have done with getting eyeballs on the product and in an awkward time of year for it, I can't help but think that these other sports are going to be just as successful. We just hope that obviously people stay healthy and happy and safe, and continue to move onwards and upwards. I think if anything, if I had to make some predictions right now, I'll say for the NBA, I think it's going to be hard to see LeBron go down. I don't know if the Lakers are going to get beat. In the NHL, going into this round, I would have said maybe Colorado. But
I'm a huge soccer fan, and I saw a stat, and my dad shared with me as well, is that the teams in the Champions League, like the final 8 or whatever, who played less games, the 2 that made it to the finals played less games than everybody else. So in this bubble where I'm sure it's very hard adjustment, I think there's some proof now to say, like, if you play less games in sport and your body's recovered more, that you can maybe have more success on or off the field or whatever maybe.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you can really even argue that. Like, obviously it takes some time to get into a groove, I think, with your body when it comes to sports. But yeah, I think obviously the less stress you're putting on it, less games is probably going to be a good thing. So, I'm just going to comment on soccer there. I think they're in a fantastic time right now too, with they're going to have such a short off season now. So for everyone who loves all the transfers and everything, it should be fast and furious over the next few weeks or so. Again, just hope that things continue to run well and safely, and keep putting on such an entertaining product.
Oh, no doubt. The last point on soccer, is that because I think there's so much money involved, is that there's so much pressure for these teams and managers and players. And not to say that there's not pressure in all the other sports, but especially soccer, I feel that there's just a lot of pressure. And if you don't win, there's changes like automatically. That's the thing that I notice about soccer a lot.
Yeah, it was interesting watching that Champions League final there. The announcers were kind of giving it to Paris Saint-Germain for losing, saying they underachieved. It's like, well, did they underachieve? They lost to a machine in Bayern Munich who hadn't lost a game, I don't think, since the return of soccer. But also, they had never been to a Champions League final, I don't think. So for them to make it as far as they did and only lose by a goal in the final to maybe one of the best teams ever, well, I don't know about that, but probably the best team in Europe, it shouldn't be seen as such an underachievement. But of course, with all the money that gets spent, it's kind of win or bust for a lot of these teams. So it is what it is.
No, absolutely. The first little bit we talked about career and sport, and then we moved to the talent side, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we talked about what you kind of miss from work, and working at a sports company, everyone's into very similar things in sports, and you're able to chat about them while you're at work, around the water cooler talk and stuff like that. So everyone I think has been missing that, and having the ability to talk to someone different and chat about these kind of things is always nice.
A favorite question to ask at the end, and this because we've talked, but is what is your most memorable experience in the sport industry to date, or experience as a fan? Because it kind of gets people motivated if they're aspiring to be in the sport industry, or they're just a casual sport fan listening to an industry professional.
For sure. It's so tough. I'd say professionally, it was really cool when, I was working with the Ice Dogs and we won the Eastern Conference Championship. Got to do it on home ice and have the big celebration with the trophy. That was cool. I think working here at Sportsnet, I was able to go up to Yellowknife for a week up in the Northwest Territories in the middle of winter, which was, I'm not a cold person, but we were prepared by then, and going up there was just such an amazing experience. Seeing a completely different culture and having them welcome us with open arms was amazing. I guess another one would be when I was in fourth year at Brock, we volunteered with the Mountain West Conference basketball tournament, and I know Jimmer Fredette didn't really pan out to have this amazing NBA career, but he hit 52 points in the semifinal game against New Mexico playing for BYU, and it was just amazing to see someone do that from down there on the floor level. He was just stepping over half court and just shooting it, and it was no problem. So I guess those would be my three professional ones that certainly really stand out. From a personal standpoint, oh my goodness, I don't know. I was able to go to the World Cup a couple of years ago in Russia, out to Moscow. That was just a fantastic experience, just having all the different cultures there. And, Russia was so proud to be able to host it. The city was amazing. The atmosphere in the stadium was amazing. And something I'll definitely never forget, going halfway around the world just to be able to watch soccer. So definitely cool.
World Cup, like, it doesn't get bigger than that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were lucky. The one game that we actually went to, in person out there, it was Colombia against England in the round of 16, and Colombia tied it in the 92nd minute, and it went to penalties. We couldn't have asked for a better game. It was fantastic.
Thank you, Nino, for doing this. Really appreciate it. Great, obviously, speaking with you. Great insight as always, and all the best to you and your family.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, and stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe, and I enjoyed it. So looking forward to watching more of these that you've done. So good stuff.
Awesome. And there we go. That's it.